Hey world, we're back for episode 2 of No More Free Game Podcast. If you checked out episode 1, I just want to say thank you so much for supporting, listening to me ramble, and etc. I'm really going to try to keep this episode a little shorter just because from here on out, I really want things to be more interview based. So, me having a conversation with somebody. But I mean, if y'all want to hear me talk, I'm more than happy to just talk by myself. If you have not checked out episode 1 yet, please do so on my channel. Now, y'all know what to do. I also wanted to just kind of start this episode with some positivity and, really encourage people to not necessarily, not necessarily. Basically, my point is, I was thinking about, New Year's resolutions. This is a time when people are like, okay, I'm just going to eat crazy, just kind of finish off this year, whatever, etc., and then start my life over on January 1st. But I really encourage people to start their goals and, new intentions and etc. Let's start them in November. I'm starting my New Year's resolutions now. Like, there's no reason to wait 2 months to, I'm going to new year, new me. No, new month, new me, new whatever, new me. So I really encourage everybody else to, maybe follow suit. Yeah. So spirit fingers. Let's get into it. So again, I don't really want this episode to be too long. It just was a few things that's kind of like on my mind. I do want to start by talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. And I don't want to talk necessarily like stat wise or, I know what our record is so far, blah, blah, blah. We've had 2 in 14 seasons. So it is. And if you're a Chiefs fan, a real fan, you should know what's up. It's just, I cannot believe how bad, especially people in Kansas City are talking about the Chiefs. Like, I'm not surprised, but at the same time, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Tyron, they all have just, this team, what they've done for the city the last few years is insane. And, all this new development, new restaurants, all these people kind of moving here, the money coming in, etc. That revenue is being generated. A lot of that comes from our team being good, our sports teams being good. They're generating revenue. They're bringing people to the city. When we went to the Super Bowl and won, it doesn't matter. When we went to the Super Bowl and won, that brings money to our city. And for Patrick Mahomes to come in and do what he did for our team in, was it like 3 years? It's been so far 3 or 4. Don't quote me. But I'm just really disappointed in how Kansas City is treating our players, for real. Like, I understand, yes, let's hold them accountable, etc., blah, blah, blah. But however, if you were not a part of Chiefs Kingdom or Chiefs Nation, when we had Trent Green as our quarterback, I don't want to hear nothing you have to say. And even if you was, that should make you be even more humble. And that's no shade. But again, if you are from Kansas City, you know the struggle. So I just want to say, sorry, phone vibrating. That's very unprofessional. So I just want to give kudos and shout outs to our Kansas City Chiefs. I know that this season has not started off ideally, but it's literally one season. How many seasons so far have we been a winning team since Patrick Mahomes became our starting quarterback? Like, stop it. I like history. And so I look a lot into history, and especially in sports. Like, the first Black starting quarterback for an NFL team wasn't even until 1968. Like, the first starting Black quarterback for an NFL team was in 1968, which was Marlon Briscoe for the Denver Broncos. Some of y'all parents, like, that's y'all parents' age. So, and then ours, for the Kansas City Chiefs, our first starting Black quarterback was in 2000 with Warren Moon. Our first Black starting quarterback was in 2000. So it's just like, let that simmer. Like, show our team more grace. Yes, again, this season has not started out how we wanted it to start. However, if you're in Kansas City, you know they have changed the culture. So just stop it. Please stop it. Because I'm not digging the vibes. I'm not digging the vibes at all. So again, shout out to my Kansas City Chiefs. That's my team. I'm gonna stick beside them, whether we winning, losing, it's a draw, whatever. Because again, like they already then brought a championship to our city. So, and how many years were we like a losing team or like a team that's just like, fuck it, like, come on now, y'all. We just anyways, let's get into NBA. Again, I don't want to make this episode too long. So over the summertime, the NBA implemented a new rule, essentially to where like refs are not calling as many fouls as before, which I honestly think I like the rule. I really do. I know a lot of the like, OG players and stuff like that was kind of like, yes, like real basketball is back and etc. So I mean, I don't know. The game, the game is so different now that I honestly do. I'm gonna say I like the rule. I really do. I think that it kind of minimizes players doing certain things to draw a foul, and then it draws out the game, and et cetera, et cetera. Because let's be honest, sometimes if you get enough foul calls, that those points can add up and really change the trajectory of a game. James Harden I think has been a hot topic for everyone in regards to this rule of like hooking your arm with another player and etc., or even taking it back to like I was gonna say early 2000s, to like the 2010s, and like the flopping thing becoming like a huge like thing. So I definitely think that it minimizes that, and players really have to be strategic in how they're playing the game and etc. So again, I feel like I do really like the rule. I kind of just gotta still continue to say, but I'm gonna say I love it. I do, honestly do. And I do agree that I like that it minimizes foul calls. But it has been a couple plays where I'm like, that probably should have been a foul. Like, not to be like, oh, flop, blah, 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 blah. But it's just like, I don't know if I agree with the refs on that. And then also another thing with, all these NBA like super teams, as people call them, and etc. I really have been thinking about that a lot. And I really feel like super teams are an amazing thing. If you have multiple talented conglomerates, that just make things very interesting, in my opinion. And like, I know a lot of the like older players and OG players and stuff like that are like, oh, back in my day, we didn't, trade teams, and we stuck beside our team, and we brought championships to our team where we were drafted, etc. Honestly, I really, really, really feel like that is rooted more so in the fact that like free agency wasn't a thing officially until 1976. And so basically the owners had all the power on the team until 1976. And even then, I still feel like it probably was like a climate where like you didn't want to do too much to piss your owner off, just a bunch of different stuff. So I definitely feel like that the super teams thing and that whole like, oh, we need to just stick where we're at. I really feel like it's rooted in the fact that like owners held the power for so long. And so I think that it still was kind of shamed upon after kind of free agency started, in a sense. And so, and then even like right after free agency started, you got all these players coming in like Larry Bird in 1978, Magic Johnson, 1979, the class of 84 with MJ, Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, John Stockton. And 1985, you got Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone. So, I definitely feel like, so all these dogs coming into the league. And I think it just, of course, super huge rivalry, like, oh, this is my team. This is where I started, this is where I'm gonna finish, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, I really do continue to feel like the climate was more so like, you don't really want to like make the owner matter like this. Whoever is controlling the cha-ching, cha-ching, bling, 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 okay? And so I always think about that. Like, if the culture was different back then, would players potentially have, changed teams and stuff like that? I can't even imagine. Well, actually, I feel like the Bulls was a super team. I don't care. I don't care at all. But I just think about, like, Michael Jordan. I'm not even gonna speculate. But again, I really do. I feel like loyalty in basketball kind of goes back to the owners having a lot, if not all, the power before 1976. And even after that, like I said, in the 80s and 90s, still, like, it's kind of like shamed upon, like, I wouldn't do that if I was him. And then the first big three, with the Boston Celtics, with Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and KG. Love KG. That was like, what a time to be alive. Like, I know people, credit the big three for Miami with Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, my favorite player, and LeBron, but that Celtics big three, that Celtics team, and them winning that championship in 2008 against the Lakers, what a time to be alive. Like, I really feel like 2010s basketball, like 2010, that kind of era basketball, is so undervalued. Just what a time to be alive. Also new for basketball is, players who aren't necessarily in the NBA, not necessarily, they aren't, high schoolers and, collegiate players and stuff like that, getting endorsement deals. I think that is so dope. So dope. Hopefully, they keep it to where it's kind of fair in a sense. But yes, I want players to get as much money as they can. Like I think he's 17. Mikey Williams just signed a Puma endorsement deal. That's crazy. But when I say I love to see it, I love to see it, because it's been so many stories of, no matter what sport, but especially NBA and NFL, it's been so many stories of athletes like, well, I was so broke, and these are like big stars at schools, and I was so broke and I didn't have enough to eat. I didn't have the blah 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 blah. You're making these schools all this money, and you don't have enough money to eat. And mind you, a lot of athletes, especially Black athletes, come from, like, a low income background. So of course they can't go back home and get this and get that, or rely on their family, even though I know they want to, and I know their family wants to help. Typically these athletes are like the first ones to even go to school, and so their families are relying on them. And so I feel like, getting these endorsement deals and etc. younger, hopefully this gives them a better chance at, learning how to manage their money and, learning these ins and outs as you are a teenager, essentially going into adulthood and with these bigger contracts and etc. So I really love to see, especially for college players, like, you're making these universities and colleges all this money, and you can't even afford this and that, etc. I understand both sides in a sense, to where, like, it costs to play, and it costs, other players are not bringing in as much money or any money, if that, honestly. So I get both sides, but at the same time, if you're bringing in millions of dollars, generating revenues, like people, especially off jersey sales, what? And you're not getting any of that money. Nope. It makes me think about, the Michigan Fab Five. Like, I don't remember who in the I want to say it was Chris Webber in the documentary. And I remember him saying, like, I'm walking past stores and they selling my jerseys for, X amount of money, and I don't even have money to eat. That doesn't make any sense. You selling my name, what? My image of likeness, and I ain't got no money? Oh no. Dropping out. Honestly. Stay in school, kids. Stay in school for real. But no, hopefully, because I've seen backlash for it, like, oh, you're gonna give this kid this money, blah 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 blah. If it was you or your kid, wouldn't you want your money? It's a cut. is what I have to do a lot of the times. So also music wise, it's been a lot of dope music that has been dropping, especially for me and like my favorite artists. A lot of dope music dropping between Don Kennedy, Nico G4, Young Thug. Um, who else has dropped? I know it's more, but I can't think. Big Sean has dropped. I love Big Sean. Wale. Oh, I just want to give to Wale because I am a super fan of Wale, and I don't think people understand that. I love him, and I'd be mad and upset because people don't give him his flowers. I feel like that about all the artists that I really, 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 really like. But I've been a huge fan since high school, like 2009 or so, and I used to play the shit out of Ambitious Girl, and then even like the trip downtown. Like it just bringing back so many memories. And so with for Lauren too, the samples. I, so I love samples, but I feel like over the last 3 to 5 years, like people are overdoing it because why is like people are literally taking the previous song and just adding new lyrics. If you take a beat that is already like a multi-platinum or just a popular song and just put new words over it, people are going to be more inclined to like the song because this is a beat I've already heard. So okay, I'm okay. Even if the song is trash, I am more inclined to be like, I think I like this. I've heard it before, so back to what I was saying. I love samples. I think people have really overdone it kind of over the years, but that is something that I appreciate about Wale. Wale and his team of producers and etc., like their ear for music and how they sample stuff. Oh, I feel like you would have to know music to know what the fuck they're sampling. Like when I heard Fire and Ice, that's no. Actually, I was gonna say Vibrant Thing. When I heard Poke It Out, which is a sample of Vibrant Thing, I was like, wow. And I can't play the song because they're not going to sue me for copyright infringement. But I'm sure, like, if you think about the song, you're like, just think, it makes you want to bounce. And then, like I said, when I heard Fire and Ice, ooh, Mint Condition is one of my favorite groups of all fucking time, favorite band of all fucking time. So Fire and Ice, this day, this minute, right now. I went crazy when I heard that. I did. And then Dearly Beloved, ooh. Shout out to the producer of Dearly Beloved. Honestly, the whole project is dope as fuck, but Dearly Beloved, that sample is crazy too. I'm also a huge fan of Jamie Foxx, and so that sample is from an episode from the Jamie Foxx show. I'm not sure what season, maybe like season 2 or 3, whatever episode when Fancy was about to get married to Silas, and Jamie was basically professing his love, like, I love you, like you gonna just do me like that. And so Jamie was like, let me play you a song, whatever. And he did it in front of like a crowd, and then with Fancy and Silas, whatever, the Dearly Beloved. I was like, oh, as soon as I heard it, I was like, wow, you'd have to really know the culture to know that sample. So yeah, Jamie Foxx is another person who deserves all of his fucking flowers. I can't wait till he get his Lifetime Achievement Award. It's so many awards that he fucking deserves. Like, that is my favorite entertainer of all time. So Shout out to Jamie Foxx. Shout out to Wale. Shout out to his producers. Like, shout out to everybody because that shit was fire. But overall, I do have an amazing feeling as we are heading into November. Like I said, please start your New Year's resolutions now. And you're just gonna, like, 2 months from now, when you start in the actual year, you're gonna be like, I'm already in the habit of this. Like, we can set even bigger goals. So again, I just want to send some positive vibes out. Y'all have an amazing week. Please also check out the No More Free Game podcast radio playlist. The link is in the description. I don't know if I can attach it somewhere. I'm still new to this, but definitely thank you guys so much and have a great week.